Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Tuesday morning. And where is this guy going to go? The hype train we mentioned may have already left the station for one Cole Payton and begins again today. He's at the NFL Combine being picked and prodded at with answers to come. If he likes flowers, if he's a cat guy, all that kind of good stuff. And then actually on the field. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to a Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV to our friends in Sioux Falls, KMBN in Western South Dakota, and all parts in between at Inforum.com. I am Dom Izzo, host of said program. Glad you're joining us on this 24th day of February. We got plenty of Combine chatter to get to start our program today. Circling on the two North Dakota State guys, they're going to be there. The Bison doubly represented, and both will be on the field together. Have not had that happen before in the times that NDSU has sent players to Indianapolis to be represented twice over, with Bryce Lance also be on the field. We're going to have Carlton Lance, Bryce's dad, will join us. I just got this firmed before we went on the show Thursday morning before they head to Indianapolis. So looking forward to that conversation to see what old number 5 can do. Trey never got this opportunity. You remember when Trey came out, NFL Combine was not held in person. They didn't do any on-field workouts because of the pandemic. So Bryce will be the first to actually participate in Indianapolis, and excited to see him back on the field. He did not do any of the All-Star games, was trying to get as healthy and ready as in shape to wow the scouts. And for all intents and purposes, we'll chat about Bryce here in a second, that he is the top guy in the clubhouse for FCS players. And I can say that for the last time now for North Dakota State to come off the board. We'll get to that in just a little bit. A lot to unpack today. David Richman coming up on our second hour. We'll chat with the Bison men's basketball head coach after the Summit League clinching victory on Saturday. Then it was doubly sweet because St. Thomas got beat by Denver, so there's no sharing. Dave told me that after the game on Saturday. They wanted no part of that. Well, Denver helped them out, because now the Bison have it to themselves with still 2 big games to come. I mean, there's a lot to on the line here with St. Thomas on the road on Thursday, and then the finale with North Dakota on Saturday. So we'll get to that with Dave coming up in our second hour as well. And for those that are on the Mountain West watch, all I can tell you is we're still in a holding pattern on schedule. I believe the league is going to send out some sort of heads up that, hey, we're going to announce, because every league does that to try and build up the amount of anticipation for it. But as of here at 9:04 a.m. on Tuesday morning, all quiet here. Although yesterday there were a couple, and for those that aren't plugged into this, and I don't blame you, you got bigger things going on to worry about. There were a couple of things of items that were of note yesterday that should be on the radar if you want to pay attention to this. One was Nevada, which is now a league rival of North Dakota State in football. Their game at Middle Tennessee State was moved up 1 week to September the 19th. Originally, it was scheduled for September the 26th. So, again, I think let's be rational about this and use our heads that has to be North Dakota State related. You'd have to think that there's something there. That game was supposed to be a week later. Both teams had an opening. Now it's moved up. Does that mean the Bison are playing Nevada November or September the 26th? I don't know, but you'd have to think it has some accommodation for the Bison on that. So again, we're we might be grasping at straws, but that's what we can tell you on what's happening with the Bison football schedule for 2026. We'll just wait and see here, folks, on that. All right, let's get to the combine chatter, because there's some actual people talking about it that are way smarter than I on this particular subject. And the first one, obviously, centers on quarterback. We talked about him up the top with Cole Payton, who will be on the field on Saturday participating in the quarterback drills in Indianapolis. And the intriguing part for people that have not seen him play, obviously, is physical tools and his ability to throw, considering level of competition is going to get thrown out there and the limited amount of starts. The fact he only started 13 games is certainly going to be thrown out there. The drills begin Saturday. He's going to do all from what we've been told, what his QB coach told me as well, is he's going to participate in everything, whether it be the 40, whether it be the cone drills, the vertical he's going to do. He was really excited to have a chance to go and do that. And then obviously be the on-field work, which is where he's going to get the most amount of attention put on him. I'm looking at a couple of different websites out there. I mean, there's a bunch of different articles that are being written about him right now, which is intriguing, and how much you want to spend on it depends on how deep you want to go down the rabbit hole. We talked about the Jason La Canfora report last week that have him potentially as the number 2 quarterback in this class. Yesterday on the Athletic Football Show, guy we've had on this program, Dane Brugler, who is the one of the great NFL draft nerds, is probably the too nice a way to put it. He's plugged in on this. Insider is the best way. On the Athletic Football Show, asked about, and he brought up the quarterbacks that are being discussed. Here's his thoughts on what we're going to see on Cole Payton this week.
I'm also really interested to see Cole Payton, North Dakota State, who is going to be one of the more intriguing quarterbacks in this class. Another one-year starter, just like Ty Simpson. He actually has fewer starts, only 13, and they all came at the FCS level. And so it's kind of like a double whammy there. He's a big guy. He's going to come in at 230-ish pounds. He's going to run in the 4.5s. I think the athletic testing is going to be really impressive. Remember, like over the summer, scouts were talking about him as a possible tight end convert before he had a really productive senior year at quarterback. So I'm eager to see how he throws the ball, how consistent he can be. Senior Bowl was up and down for him, and so, but also some more context with that, he broke his thumb on his throwing hand in the last game of the year. He just started throwing like a couple days before the Senior Bowl. And so that's important context with his performance there. And so how he looked this week at the Combine, there's a lot of, I would have a hard time taking him before maybe the 4th round, just because there's so much missing from his development that he's just going to take time. And he's kind of in that weird spot in the middle where he needs more reps, but he's not near ready to face NFL competition. So it's kind of like, he's one of the rare cases where he really, you want to give him credit for staying put, and because he went to North Dakota State because they were losing Trey Lance. And it's like, I'm going to have a chance to get on the field. But then Cam Miller was in the program. He was a 4-year starter, and so he was Cole was a backup for all these years. Finally got a shot. You see a ton of potential. He's a true dual threat quarterback, good size, good athlete, but can also push the ball downfield. Really aggressive passer. It's just he's almost like he would be perfect for if NFL had some type of minor league system outside of college. And so this will be a big week for Cole Payton to kind of stake his claim about being a top 5 quarterback in this class.
And that's the basically, I'd say the best way to describe it for what he's got going on this week. Brugler put it perfectly. He added yesterday as well, Payton should run in the 4.5s and be impressive across the board with his athletic testing, as he mentioned there. If he can be quiet with his mechanics, and don't we all want to be quiet with our mechanics, and accurate with his throws on top of that, get ready for the Payton train to take off. So I don't think there's anything more I can add on that, other than the fact that I think you just athletically wise, testing wise, he's going to go off the charts. I think that part will speak for itself of what he's going to be able to do there. In terms of what he can do throwing the ball, getting it down the field, that part will be really intriguing to see how that develops. So that gets going on the field on Saturday. Now, the unique part about it is when the drills get going, and typically these guys are thrown out there, quarterbacks, with wide receivers they've never worked with before, never thrown to before, anything of that. That's maybe the part where the scouts really want to see, and obviously the GMs and coaches that are there, how good can you be adjusting on the fly with guys you never worked with before? Well, he'll at least have one familiar face out there, and obviously in Bryce Lance, who will be there. And Bryce, as we know, did not go through the All-Star game. He opted to sit out the East-West Shrine game. He was invited to that. But for all intents and purposes, that he is considered the top FCS prospect here heading into the draft, which is roughly 2 months from now, gets going in Pittsburgh. Different websites all have him considered as the top FCS guy. From The Athletic, Trey's little brother, Bryce is 6'3", 210 pounds, with Velcro hands and more juice than you think. On the freaks list with a 40-inch vertical. That's another. The vertical is going to be, I don't know if they televise that, but that'll be fascinating to see if that how that goes this weekend. He posted back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons for the Bison and passed up 7-figure NIL offers to stay loyal to the North Dakota State program, as we documented on this show many time over, obviously after the 2024 campaign, which was the 17-touchdown year that got him on everybody's radar. And that's the part that will be, we talked about it briefly yesterday on the show, that will be fascinating to see how this plays out for Bryce, to see what he can test at. I think Pro Day will be a big deal as well. Combine is going to be the big tester, right? That's the big check mark. But when they come back here, and I think each of them will do something on Pro Day, which will be about a month from now up at NDSU. Then beyond that, what happens from there? That's the part that will be awfully intriguing to see how much they actually do. Like Gray Zabel did a few drills, didn't do a whole lot last year, but still did something out there. Just, again, reading a scouting report on Bryce, a prototypically built X receiver with good size and top-end speed. He has a long athletic frame with developmental upside due to his natural athleticism and fluidity. Don't we all want fluidity and quiet mechanics? It's my best time. Oh, that's the only time we're ever going to hear these terms, is come from the combine and up to the draft. He shows very good explosion off the line to condense cushion, and his second gear helps him maintain separation out of his brakes. Honestly, imagine writing that for real. He does a good job of sinking into his hips. Don't we all want to do that? Of course, I got 18 ads pop up here as I'm reading this. Come on, guys. Where we go? Sinking into his hips. Where was I here? And has expand his catch radius. He does a good job of working back to the ball, has significant run after catch ability with twitchy movements and linear burst. So that's what we want. We want quiet mechanics. We want linear burst. We want twitchy movements and getting down on our hips. We have all that, then you're all set to do basically anything in life. So it's just, honestly, this is the only time this terminology gets thrown out is prior to the NFL draft. Because after that, it's basically, can you run fast and can you catch? Can't we just write that instead of linear burst and twitchy movements? He projects as a high-end NFL rotational prospect with upside. Again, that's the other part. Don't we all want upside? So that's the latest there on both the Bison guys. And we mentioned we'll have Carlton join us on Thursday's program. Excited about that as they'll be heading to Indianapolis. And the drills begin Thursday for the defensive backs, defensive linemen, the quarterbacks, and the wide receivers. They get the special Saturday slot when everybody can watch. So we'll be keeping our eyes peeled on see how Peyton and Lance do. And it's different. We've gotten used to having the offensive linemen go, whether it have been Cody Mauk and Gray Zabel over the last couple of years, and that's one thing. But to have the skill guys be there, there's a different level of attention on that. Granted, though, Zabel and Mauk were all over TV the last couple of years and obviously ended up being high-end picks because of what happened in Indianapolis. So that's the latest there on what's going on with the Bison guys as they get set for the NFL Combine, which gets going on Thursday. And we get to use more of these terms. Unrefined release package. What? Seriously, like, imagine writing that and not being laughed at, but that's exactly the deal. what's going on. It's with not just these guys, it's with every NFL prospect between now and late April. We got a packed show coming up for you here today on this Tuesday. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Coming up in about 20 minutes, Mike McFeely will be with us here in studio in his usual Tuesday time slot. Lots to chat about with Mike on the Bison basketball sweep over the weekend. Look forward to the Summit League tournament. We'll get to a couple topics with him coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, speaking of hoops, David Richman will join us as the Bison celebrate a first league title in 6 years. I know he'll tell me right away the celebration is over. It's back to work with 2 big games to go. The Bison have already clinched the 1 seed in the outright championship. Now it's on to finishing out the regular season and then seeing who they're going to play. Likely it's going to be either Kansas City or Oral Roberts. They're locked into that 8-9 game. We'll get to that at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, we'll introduce you one of the best Class B basketball teams in North Dakota on the boys' side, the Ray Jays. Michael Bergstrom will join us to give us the lowdown on Ray, ranked number 3 in the last Class B boys basketball poll. They're getting ready for the run-up to the postseason. Boy, if they're able to make it, the Class B is in Minot. That would be awfully big if Ray is able to get there. They've got a couple of really, really good players. You've already met Ty Barman, who's their standout, who's being looked at the highest level for football. Minnesota and North Dakota State have offered him already scholarship there. So we'll talk with Coach Bergstrom about his team at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here over the next hour and 45 minutes or so. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll get you ready for dropping the puck at state hockey, which begins on Thursday here in town. We'll give you the lowdown on that when Hot Mike returns on a Tuesday morning. We're back after this. Okay, everybody. Hot Mike off and rolling here on this Tuesday morning. Reminder, we're getting set for a huge sports week here on the television side. We've got 3 Bison basketball games to bring you, and also this year's edition of the North Dakota State Hockey Tournament, which begins on Thursday here in town at Shields Arena. Our coverage begins at 11 a.m. on Thursday with the girls' quarterfinals on WDAY2. Extra will be the home of the boys' quarterfinals starting at noon. 4 games. We're rolling all day long. Then semifinal Friday will start at noon on ABC. Wherever you get your ABC affiliate, we'll have the girls' semifinals. Drop the puck at noon. The boys at 5:30. Fingers crossed without any overtimes. And then Saturday, Championship Saturday with the air at 4:30 with the girls' title game. The boys about a half hour after that wraps up on the final hockey game of the season in North Dakota at Shields Arena, which would be a great site for it. Our preps are well underway there. We mentioned yesterday when we saluted our best of the weekend on the EDC teams that made it through. Cheyenne, which had to go to overtime in its win to get by Davies in a thriller. You saw Shanley edge out North. First time that Shanley solo is going to be there in 16 years, which is a big deal there for the Deacons as they got by Fargo North. And then, obviously, the 2 Grand Forks schools battled it out, double overtime, that Central beat Red River to win the EDC championship. I think there's the notion is that both of those teams are going to play again, once again, for the state championship. Now, the West teams would love to have something to say about that. Minot United, that's the new co-op between Minot High and Minot North that have formed that. They're the West 1 seed, won the WDA tournament over Bismarck Legacy. Good to see that the Sabres are back at state. And then you have Jamestown and Century rounding out the West teams. And again, those games beginning at noon on Thursday. And interesting, I mean, we've had a run there for a while where the East did not lose a game at the state tournament, especially in the opening round. The East was on I think a 4-year win streak that the West had gotten shut out there. And that actually flipped the script from, I'd say, a decade ago where we saw a West team win the state championship. Minot came, the first year was at Shields Arena. It was 2015, so 11 years ago now, which is crazy to say that out loud. Minot won it. The year before, Bismarck had won it. We had back-to-back years where West schools had come out on top, and we got to see almost every year it was a East versus West championship in hockey, which had not been the case forever in this state. And now it's tilted back the other way where the East has clearly had the advantage on the West schools. So we'll see if anybody's able to break through there and potentially upset the apple cart. But that's, at least in recent years, what we've seen on the boys' side. Now, 2 years running, it's been Red River and Central in the championship game. The last time we've not had a Grand Forks team in the final was the epic triple overtime game up in Grand Forks between South Shanley and Red River that South won it in triple overtime. We have not had a Grand Forks team in the championship game. You've got to go back a ways here because regardless, either Central or Red River is represented in the championship. Just going back here, it's prior to our televising it, 2012. And that was the epic Zach Kraft game, the late, great Zach Kraft, who scored the overtime winner in double overtime for Fargo North to beat Grafton. That was the last time we have not had a Grand Forks school play in the boys' state hockey championship. Since then, Red River, Central, Red River, Central, Red River, then each other, Central versus Red River, and Red River, Central, Red River. So it's been almost nearly a constant theme there. So that's what we have on the boys' side. The girls' side, obviously, a little different there. North-South is back again. They've been one of the best teams in girls' hockey over the last handful of years. They're the 1 seed. They'll have Minot United in the first game that you'll see on WDAY2 coming up on Thursday morning, at 11 a.m. Century and West Fargo will follow that at about 1:30. Evening session will start at 5 with Grand Forks, the Night Riders, that's combined of Red River and Central against Mandan, and then Legacy Bismarck against Fargo Davies. Legacy Bismarck is the reigning champs. They beat West Fargo last year in the girls' state hockey championship game. West Fargo was the Cinderella last year. You remember making it all the way to the final. Prior to that, it was North-South. They had won 3 consecutive state championships, and they ended up playing in the title game 4 straight years. It's ironic. I called the 21 game when Davies beat North-South, and they were the heavy favorites there, and Davies ended up beating them, and they finally got over the hump and won in overtime, beat Davies back-to-back years, and then beat Bismarck Century in 2024. But prior to that, it was obviously the Blizzard. Bismarck had dominated there. They won every state championship from 2015 to 2020. And you had heard the cries of, break them up, break them up. And that finally did happen. Century now has its own team. Legacy and Bismarck are co-op and have their own team, which some to say is the detriment of what's happened. I would say if it's more opportunity for girls to play and more opportunity for people to play, that's what you want in the sport. So that's the girls' hockey breakdown. And traditionally, the games in Fargo, we've had some great ones. The double overtime game, North-South beating Davies for the state championship. That was here in town back in 2022. 2020 was the last tournament we had before the world ended. Bismarck beat Davies there. And a couple years ago, North-South handled Century there. So we'll see, but excited to see some really, really good talent as well. And that all begins coming up on Tuesday morning, or Thursday morning. I said Tuesday, Thursday morning, 11 a.m. to get things going out at Shields Arena. We'll have you covered. Every game will be in the championship format, will be televised, so you get to see all the quarterfinals, and then consolation games will be streamed as part of that graphic we showed you off the top on WDAY Plus. So looking forward to that. A couple of emails that came in, and I wanted to get to. Dom, did you see the YouTube report that they will get 4 more NFL games? I did see that last night. According to Sports Business Journal, if you don't follow that website, if you're a TV nerd like myself, that's mandatory, that YouTube is reportedly the favorite to land a 4-game package of NFL regular season games that the league just got back from ESPN, part of the ESPN NFL Network merger. Part of that means there's no more Monday night doubleheaders. I know people have not been fond of them. Certainly my dad has not been fond of them, so I'll take that as people. Those are going away. Instead, they're going to go streaming. Now, you can take that forever. If you're an NFL fan and you want to watch all the games, you got to have YouTube anyway. because that's where Sunday Ticket resides. And it sounds like, according to the report from SBJ, YouTube is, quote, the early leader to land the 4 games ESPN returned to the NFL as part of the recently approved deal that sees ESPN take ownership of NFL Network in exchange for the NFL taking a 10% equity stake in the network. The 4 available games are likely to have a short shelf life. Last week, Puck's sports correspondent John Oran reported that the 4 games will likely be included in a 15-game slate split equally between 3 streamers, YouTube, Netflix, and Amazon Prime, when the NFL reworks its media rights deals in the coming seasons. Of course, we know the NFL wants to opt out of its deal and get more money. The NFL is not thrilled that the NBA got more than them. The NBA and NBC is more than what NBC's paying the NFL for Sunday Night Football. So you know that ain't going to stand for that long. They want to open it up. That has to be collectively bargained to do that, because obviously the players will get more. That's all part of the 18-game deal. We're going way down the rabbit hole, but that's part of this. That I would say get ready for more games on YouTube in 2026. Also, this nugget, because the combine's going and everybody is meeting with the media, either GMs or head coaches get 15 minutes at the podium if they choose to. Joe Shane, the GM of the Giants, says they would be open to moving back if they get the right offer. So here you go. The Giants are willing to be known that their pick is apparently up for grabs. I don't know if it's too early to start talking about that. Granted, the Giants just hired John Harbaugh as their head coach. Also, news out of Atlanta. This might be relevant for us here, that the Falcons have let it be known that they are going to release Kirk Cousins when the NFL league year begins next month. I don't know if that means there would be a reunion possible in Minnesota, but obviously the Falcons are going to move on with Michael Penix being the guy, and a very expensive 2 years with Kirk Cousins comes to an end there, which was the most bizarre deal maybe ever. You think about that. The Falcons gave Cousins a buttload of money, and then a month later drafted Penix with the 8th overall pick. And then after that, he starts the first 8-9 games of 2024, gets benched. Penix plays the rest of the way. Then Penix gets hurt this year, and then Cousins finishes the season as the starter. It was an odd marriage, to say the least, of what was going on in Atlanta. So we'll keep you abreast of anything relevant coming out of Indy as those are underway with the meeting with the media between coaches and GMs. Let's break. We come back. It's at that time, Tuesday morning, Mike McFeely stops by. We'll chat some Bison hoops, football, whatever else comes up topic. We're going to do that when Hot Mike returns after this.
Oh, it's Mr. McFeely.
I have seen the future, and he was wearing number 5, and I ain't talking about Robbie Grimsley, folks.
Took out the muffins, took out the trail mix, took out the cookies. They stole the monster cookies.
Wow, that's awesome. That is so awesome. Let's do some broadcasting.
Yeah. All right, it's Tuesday morning at 9:30. It means our guy Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday morning. Email came in right away because we're talking about the absurd NFL draft lingo that comes out this time of year.
Oh, yes.
So, says Dom,
which potential draftee has tremendous upside?
Oh, everybody has tremendous. Nobody is going the other way, right? Everybody has.
Until they actually draft them, until Kwesi Adolfo Mensah drafts them, and then they have tremendous downside after that.
Dom, I'm wondering if Mike can explain how, quote, quiet mechanics apply to his bowling game, because Cole Payton needs to have quiet mechanics with his throwing motion.
You know, that's key for Cole. I've always thought that about Cole's. If he could just quiet his mechanics, he'd be just fine.
Do you have quiet mechanics with your bowling arm?
Last night was my worst bowling night in years. Oh. Yep. It was really bad. So my mechanics were really loud last night. The first game, they were super quiet. I was
Were you benched?
No, I was locked in. In. First game, nice, solid number 175, I think. That's good for me.
Yeah.
And the second game, it's like then my mechanics got super loud. And I was just pulling everything and just bad. And then the last game, I had to rally in the third game. I had to rally.
Okay.
Get this.
To
break 100.
Ooh. That's not ideal.
No, it's terrible. It's awful. So my mechanics were extremely loud. They were screaming last night. And my give a crap factor was
0.
It was starting to wane a little bit toward the middle of the third game when I had 40 in the fifth frame. So.
Do you have natural athleticism and fluidity when you bowl?
Actually, no, not in bowling. In most other things in life, I do, yes.
How about do you sink into your hips when you bowl?
That might help.
Yes. To decelerate, redirect, and work smoothly across the middle of the field.
Actually, that decelerating and redirecting would be a bad thing in bowling, which I was doing a lot of last night. So it just, but I had tremendous downside last night. And the lights come on. And then some guys can perform when the lights come on. Some guys can't. And last night, I shrunk last night. It was bad.
It's just hilarious to me. Only this time of year, there's no football talk here. Can he catch the ball and run fast? That's all we need to know on Bryce Lance, right?
But they have to fill so many hours. The NFL Network is like 24/7 from Indianapolis. And so Daniel Jeremiah can't say Bryce Lance is really fast and has to catch the ball. Because they have to, that would take up 8 seconds of TV time.
And then what are we doing?
And then the other 23 hours, 59 minutes and 52 seconds would be dead air. So,
are you interested at all to see? I know it's not a huge thing for you. Are you interested at all to see what Peyton and Lance may do on Saturday in Indianapolis?
The guys that we've covered, and I won't say we got to know them. I didn't, but you chat with them and you kind of see what they're all about. So you're interested in. I like the Lance family.
Yes,
they're good people, and I hope that Bryce does well, and Cole Payton does well. It would be remarkable to me if the latest mock drafts. I'm a huge mock draft guy.
I'm sure you are.
Unbelievable. I'll wake up at 3:00 in the morning and just have to check my Twitter to see where the latest mock draft is. The ones I've seen have Payton going like in the third round.
Yeah,
which. It just astounds me.
Sounds absurd considering this time last year we're wondering if, could quarterback the Bison.
Yes. Yep. And so that's going to make my question of him a couple of years ago of, can you throw the ball? Seem even more stupid than it was at the time, and took him off. Like, he looked at me like I had 7 heads. Like,
is that more a ridiculous response that you got from Carson Wentz about the pizza corner? Pizza corner pizza.
What are your thoughts on pizza corner? What? What are you talking about? He looked at me like I had 12 heads on that one. So,
just being an observer of both of those, I'm like, I'm not sure which one got the more cross-eyed response.
That's sort of my that's kind of the Sid Hartman streak in me. If you're ever around Sid Hartman, when he was doing interviews, just some of the questions were just
barking out of nowhere.
Yeah, as he'd shove people aside and tell people where they could go and what they could do to themselves.
Correct.
And then just ask some.
Totally off the wall.
For the Lions next week. What are you gonna do?
What?
But the guys would always
answer.
And yep. Randy Moss. Little inside story. When they used to play at the Metrodome, Randy Moss. This is different than it is now. Now they bring the big players to a podium. Yeah. Back then it was just the coach they would bring to the press conference in a little tiny room in the basement of the Metrodome. The locker room would open. You go in there and gather around who you wanted to, and they would say most of them would just say, just let me get some clothes on here, and we can do this thing. Randy Moss would not talk to the media until Sid would come, and he would always ask, "Sid, where are you, Sid?" And then Sid would come and push his way to the front, of
course,
and then Randy would always have Sid ask the first few questions.
Wow.
Much to the chagrin of
everybody else
my friend Patrick Royce and TV guys like Joe Schmidt and all those guys. Yeah. They would love that. They love that Randy would do that.
I know you tweeted out this on Saturday night after the Bison basketball games were done. We talked about it, mid-December, that the teams were playing pretty well. They've now accomplished this where they've won
Maybe
both.
I need to issue an apology because back then I was mocking and ridiculing you for saying that these were the 2 greatest basketball teams in the history of college basketball.
I didn't say
like
that.
challenging the 73 UCLA team with Alcindor and Jamal Wilkes. But they're pretty good.
They end up winning the league.
I guess you're a great basketball mind.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're second only behind my wife in great basketball minds in Fargo-Moorhead. So congratulations.
I appreciate that. Let's start with what Richman did with his team. We're going to have him on coming up here in a little bit with 9 new guys, and that is the way it is now in mid-major basketball. But I think you mentioned this, and you're right. I think they're the deepest team. I think they're the most talented team. Does that mean they're going to go win 3 games in Sioux Falls? I don't know about that, but they certainly have proved it along the breadth of the Summit League season.
Over the whatever we're at, 14 games,
Right.
whatever we've played in the Summit League, they're the best team. They're by far the deepest team.
Yes.
I mean, that's not even close. And they just have some pieces that other teams don't have. And they don't mind playing defense, which is it's still difficult in the Summit League because there's still a lot of games that get to 92-87, which again just must drive these coaches nuts, especially Dave Richman.
Yes.
But the Bison have proven that they can win close games. They've proven that they can stump on the gas when they need to. They can win defensive games. They can win offensive games. They can beat teams like Denver that just try to score as much as they can. They can beat teams like UND that try to kind of muck it up and try to keep it in the 70s. And so they've won a variety of games in a variety of ways against a variety of opponents. And I think Dave has the best team, but whether it all comes down to, and somebody, I know this is never going to happen because TV rules the sports world.
Thank you.
But somebody on Twitter the other night said, but isn't it stupid that they prove themselves over 16 games and that they've clinched it with 2 games remaining. And yet,
much like football did,
they might get screwed.
Yeah, they could be out
because they lose the tournament.
That's off of that. Who is the most dangerous team on the men's side?
Oh, I think everybody looks at Denver, right?
I'm on that. Yeah,
but they lost one last week.
They did.
Sort of,
but then beat St. Thomas though on Saturday.
They did. And so if you look at Carson Johnson is leading the Summit League in scoring. Which boy, what if Bergstrom would have left and would have come back for one more year at Moorhead State? They would have been a Division II
powerhouse
contender.
Yes.
Even more so than they normally were.
I mean, they were a Sweet 16 team last year.
Yeah. But I think Denver's the team that you kind of go, okay.
I'm on Omaha too. I think that's the scary thing. Denver and Omaha are going to play in the first round.
Yeah.
So one of those teams obviously is going to be done, and then whoever wins will play likely.
Well, you
NDSU.
know what the problem is for them then?
Yes.
Win more games.
That's very true.
Stop. I'm not saying they are whining, but that's that's my lament in FCS football. R.I.P. God rest your soul. These teams that would whine about it's like, well, win more games. Stop complaining and beat somebody.
Let me ask you this before we go to break on the Bison women. The game obviously tomorrow night, monstrous with South Dakota State. They can win the league outright, can the Bison, if they win it. Mm-hmm. If they stumble and then do not win the Summit League championship, do they get an at-large bid?
I think we've all talked in circles about this, but I think...
Because now we're here. Now we can talk about it.
Yeah, no, I know, but I think you and I have just batted this back and forth for months, and I think the consensus that we have reached in our long text exchanges late at night would be that I think that they have to beat South Dakota State, and then if they would lose in the title game... they would be in the conversation. I just think the Summit League, frankly, outside of NDSU and SDSU, is so ranging from just mediocre to god-awful.
Bad,
that it just, the net rankings are what they are, but I don't. So to answer your question, I think they're going to have to beat the Jacks tomorrow and then lose in the finals if they are to lose.
Yeah.
And by the way, they're also the best team in the Summit League. I know the Jacks are there.
Yep.
But South Dakota State could easily again win this. They could win tomorrow night. They could win the tournament. I'm not saying that.
Correct.
But I just think, having watched the teams on multiple occasions, I just think North Dakota State's just the best team in the league. It's whether they can get to the tournament.
Put it together, which frankly the Bison women have struggled in Sioux Falls with Jory Collins there over the last 3 years.
I think we've done the math on this, but they would have to win something like 27 straight games to run the table here.
Right.
So if they do win tomorrow, they'll beat UND.
Yes.
They would have to, and then to win 3 more, that's like a 27-game winning streak. That's a lot.
Yeah. Yes.
That's a lot to not stumble at all. I mean, to not have an off. And again, fortunately, the league, some of the teams are so bad that they can have an off night and it doesn't matter. But if you have an off night against the wrong team,
you lose.
You know, St. Thomas the other night has some size.
Yes.
They caused Avery Coonan some issues. Carrington Asp, they caused her some issues because they have some size. You know, if you start to tighten up a little bit and all the pressure's on you.
And it's a road game in Sioux Falls.
It's essentially a road game, which is super fair.
Then look out.
Then look out.
Yep.
Then you're in a tough spot.
Exactly right.
Yep.
Let's break. We come back. Michael will give us the keys because I'm sure he's got the Mountain West schedule. So we'll talk to him about that and a couple other topics. Right? I'm sure you have it.
I've got it.
We'll do that when we come back. Wrap up hour 1 of On Mike after
Me and Gloria
this.
are swapping texts. So I think you should have New Mexico come here for the first conference game.
That's coming up next. Welcome back, everybody. Mike's been studying different Mountain West football teams at San Jose State. We are on pins and needles waiting to get the Mountain West schedule be released. After our visit last week with Gloria Navarez, John Sullivan were here, that we expect any day now, maybe the white smoke to come up from the league office.
It might be another week or two, I think, right? I mean, I think they wanted to get it out before the end of February, but they also said sometimes it goes into March.
Yes.
So we'll see.
February has 4 days left in it.
I know, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
It'll be, that's the next thing. The initial euphoria has sort of like, okay, now it's, everybody's like, okay, they're in the Mountain West.
Yep.
Now who are they going to play? And so this will be the next big thing. And then that's followed by the non-conference schedule, which NDSU is trying to piece together as we speak, I'm sure. Todd Phelps is going to have cauliflower ears from being on the phone. Did you wrestle? No, I schedule football games for NDSU.
On the phone.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But, the home games are going to be interesting. You would hope that the league would say, let's get a really good first home game in the conference for North Dakota State. Let's not have it be Northern Illinois, with all due respect to the Huskies. Let's have it be New Mexico so Jason Eck can come up here and chirp and do his agitation thing that he does.
And thought he'd be done with his building and all that.
And all that stuff.
Yep.
Or bring in UNLV, which is going to, I think, be the choice to win the league unless it's NDSU, which I don't think NDSU would want.
Nope. Or Nevada, was Jeff Choate has been up here a couple times.
He's got PTSD from the Fargo Dome.
Definitely does on that.
I think UNLV or New Mexico would be a really fun first league game at the Dome. And then surely the
or
first,
Air Force. Air Force, I think, would throw in there too. I think there's some appeal with that.
I'm looking at personalities, and I just think the Eck thing would be great.
There's no doubt.
Just because he would have fun with it.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, he knew how to get Bison fans
certainly riled up on the old Twitter machine.
With his Twitter machine.
No doubt about that.
Things. I just think that would be a lot of fun. And
Not enough motivation.
I think he would have fun with us in the media and understand what's going on.
What the game is.
And get it. And then also, he would really like to beat North Dakota State in their first game in the Mountain West in the Fargo Dome. So it'd be a pretty good matchup.
I know you wrote about this late last week. I wanted to get a couple thoughts more expanding on when we talked with Javon Hedlund, who's the media guy for the Mountain West, about the potential that I thought, and I wrote about this, that we were all assuming that games are going to start at 5 o'clock or later. That may not necessarily be the case, that the Mountain West now with Northern Illinois in the league, we could have 11 a.m. kickoff. We could have a 2:30 kickoff for games.
And I don't know if they're just saying that.
Correct. They could.
I mean, to make us all feel good. I did not go back and look at I tried to find it. I couldn't find like a master schedule last year to see when the game times were.
There were a handful that started before 5 o'clock.
But if you have Northern Illinois and NDSU in the central time zone, part of what the Mountain West, and this is what Gloria and John Sullivan and Javon said, is that part of the attraction of having another central time zone team is then you open up other TV windows.
Yes. Yep.
And so if you're going to have an NDSU in the league or a Northern Illinois in the league, then why would you not take advantage of that for TV purposes? Because the ratings on CBS Sports Network at 10 o'clock at night are 130,000 people around the country. But what would they be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the afternoon or noon in the Central Time Zone?
Correct.
They would be better than that.
Yes.
They would be 230,000 or whatever it would be, but it would
double.
be better.
Yeah.
Right? And so I hope that's the case, that both for Bison fans and for this whole venture that NDSU is doing, I hope that every game is not like a 10 o'clock kickoff, because that's going to be a difficult challenge. And that's going to hurt the school,
absolutely
the
will.
program, the fan base, the viewership, all of that stuff. It's already going to be a challenge because instead of just being able to turn on Channel 6 or your affiliates in the western part of the state, whether it's on local cable, satellite, or over the air, it's going to be a lot more difficult for people to find the games.
And that's a big thing, that messaging will have to be really good out of them once this gets out, schedule-wise, of where the games are going to be on. It's not out of the realm of possibility. They have a Friday night game as well. Mountain West has done that.
Which actually, if they had a Friday night game in Fargo,
man.
I think that would go over well.
Absolutely.
You know, I know it's high school football night, and that's, but I think we've sort of blown past that.
Well, college football certainly has.
Yes, that's what I mean.
They've disregarded anything about high school football.
And so I think a Friday night game in Fargo would go over well.
Absolutely.
In the Mountain West.
Well, if we've seen anything from the past Friday night playoff games, I think that would lead itself to, if you're talking like if it's UNLV that comes on a Friday night, that would do
But I think
well
think that would be, even if it's, UTEP or something, just because it's a Friday night, I think and then it would open up people's Saturdays, which has been, since the pandemic, when people figured out, oh, God, I can go to the lake on Saturdays and watch the game on TV. I think that's one of the reasons why attendance has lagged, is people figured out after the pandemic, I don't have to go to the games and spend 12 hours of my day at the Fargo Dome. So I think that they would go to a Friday night, get off work, go have some drinks or dinner, go to the football game at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock on Friday night, be done with it.
Enjoy the
and
weekend.
Then head to the lake or head to the golf course or whatever on Saturday.
Great stuff as always, Bud. Thanks for coming by. We'll see you later this week. Mike McFeely joins us each and every Tuesday at 9:30. We'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Dave Richman coming up. We'll chat about the Summit League Championship and what's ahead this week. Two biggies with St. Thomas and UND. It's coming up when Hot Mike returns after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
I think just like Dom's outfit, they're not always pretty. Sometimes they're really ugly. But just been all over Amazon and just about every site looking for these mustard pants.
My wife will tell you, she wants to burn mine. People actually listen to your show.
They watch.
They watch it.
Yeah.
Play defense in that first half like Dom transitions to you after the game. It's way too long, way too lazy, but you got all these answers. I'm going to bring you over and have you do our non-conference schedule.
I'd love to. I'd love to go to Grand Canyon,
I would
man.
love.
Hey,
well, you can come with. That's not the thing.
I love when you're on Dom. You're so transparent. And I'm like, so two things are happening. That one, people are watching your show, listening. Right? That caught me a little off guard. I'm just being honest.
And it is Tuesday morning, just after 10. He's going to get on me. We're not on time. North Dakota State men's basketball coach David Richman joins us. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual, the newly crowned Summit League champion. North Dakota State men's basketball team. There will be no sharing after the Bison beat Kansas City on Saturday, and then Denver beat St. Thomas. And so we talked after the game. You told me you didn't want any part of sharing. Well, you don't have to worry about it now. You are the solo champions. Congratulations.
We're never on time here with you. 4 minutes. 4 minutes late. All right. I'm going right back at you here.
Okay.
I'm asking a question.
Go for it.
So we do all of our deal, and then we're in the back, and you're interviewing me.
Yeah.
And we're asking my questions, and you're like, your third or fourth question is why did you celebrate this? Or something along those lines.
I didn't say that.
What did you say?
I can't remember. I didn't say that.
You asked or insinuated, like, why now or why something?
That is correct. I did ask that, yes.
Okay, so tell me why, what goes through your head to ask that question?
I guess my thought was maybe you wanted it solo That would be my thought of it. You talked to me about not sharing it. I understand why you did it, but that's, I guess, what my thought process, why I asked that.
Why? Well, if you understand why I did it, why did we do it?
Because you wanted to celebrate the achievement you guys had.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I bring that up, Dom, and you know what I think of you. But I bring that up like that was going around for a couple days.
Yeah.
And you weren't the only one. And I'll tell you this. Number one, we were conference champs at the time.
Yep.
And you can call it what you want, but we were conference champs. And no, we weren't in it for sharing. And we had another magic number of 1 based on some other circumstances. And that, good, bad, or indifferent, transpired later that day. But the other thing, and I got a ton of respect for all the programs in our leagues and the coaches, but that's not my focus, Dom. And for me, it validated to see the joy, the smile, not only on our guys' face, but to watch different individuals that are part of this program, for us to do it, in Fargo, and for those people to experience it and witness it and do those things. The only thing I struggled with was myself going up the ladder at the end, because I just absolutely hate that. But for every feeling I had going in before, I had all kinds of validation afterwards, and so glad we did that.
I appreciate you asking me that, because I thought about it too afterwards, about maybe phrasing the question maybe a little bit differently. But that was my thought about it. It's like, oh, okay, I didn't know you would do it, but understood why, because I wasn't sure if you win it Thursday, are you going to do it on the road? You're not necessarily going to do it on the road. That was my line of thinking of why I asked you on that.
And I do think, I'd made a couple conversations and talked to some mentors, and if the scenario was there and we win Thursday and that would have done, I respect the game. I respect opponents. I just don't know if that does anybody any good for us to cut nets at St. Thomas.
Nope.
And there's still hypotheticals, and bottom line, at the time we were conference champs, and yeah, or sharing and all those things, but there was complete validation. I get asked this a lot. Our guys will come in, hey coach, how are you? And before I answer, my response back is, how are you? If you're good, I'm good. And for me to see the joy and happiness on our guys' face, on Jake Peters' face, on Henry Schmidt and our managers, and Worley, that video guy that's been traveling us lately, and James Buchanan, and there's just so many names that you're not even aware of that I am, that make us go. And man, I loved every bit of that thing on Saturday afternoon.
Can you peel back a little bit inside the locker room afterwards, what that was like?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. Those are the moments that really matter to us, and we talk a lot about pain and suffering. We talk about anything good that happens, there's usually hard behind it. And there's a lot of hard things. There's a lot of adversity. I think about a lot of different guys, and the Noahs and the Damaris that have been through everything with us the last 4 years. I think about a guy like Markai Strickland, who is a dynamic person, a dynamic player, hasn't been a part of a whole bunch of success. Yeah. And then that team photo, and he's the guy holding up the trophy. And the list goes, on and on of different things. But there's this jubilation, there's excitement. But I think too, I also know our group, Dom, and I felt like that was another part of Wyatt. We have some dudes, we have some warriors, we have some fighters, and I knew, and I was right by our intentions and conversations. excuse me, yesterday morning. We got a group that's got their fists closed again, and are ready to keep swinging here as we move forward. You
told me you didn't enjoy it, or have the guys enjoy it till Monday. How long did you enjoy it? Was it the same, or did you go right back to work on Sunday?
Yeah, I said it to him, guys. Not necessarily guilt, but I'm or at fault, but yeah, I've been doing it. Right, I probably got multiple hundred text messages, and I scrolled social media a little bit longer, looking for another picture or another, and then I said to myself about Sunday night, all right, let's go. Mm-hmm. It's time to flip the page. And we always talk, you've heard me talk about it Monday mornings. Win 2, lose 2, split, we're going back to work. And we went back to work Monday. And there was a great pop and vibe and spirit. And I think too, there's things like a Dom Clay where, he's grinding as a red shirt, and why am I doing this? And you're in that locker room and you look around and there's validation to a hard process. And maybe you understand a little bit more why we do the things we do or the way we do things. Why do I have to, jog or run in between drills? Why do I have to run through lines? Why? Well, there's less of those. Now I understand it a little bit. And again, we have a process. I'm convicted of that process. But it's nice, too, for the guys to see the validation in it.
So now for the common person to say, well, they've won the league already. What's at stake here for the last 2 games of the season? So I'll just point at that. What's at stake outside? We want to play well and take that momentum down to Sioux Falls.
Yeah, I mean, what I think of my father, I talk to him, multiple times a week. And, he's been around higher education and athletics for a long time. I talked to him. He asked me that same question this morning. And my response is, let's go win. And I do think, again, to all this, do we have a little bit of a hangover effect from Saturday? That's where my antennas are at. And bottom line, whatever happens this week, we have to be damn ready to go that following week. And so that this week is about closing fists and keep swinging and getting better. And we tweaked some things with our defense yesterday. Like I'm not content. Like, how do we continue to get better? And that's what I'm proud of our staff and our group for embracing those things, understanding those things. But I promise you this: come 8 p.m. Thursday night against a very good, very well coached St. Thomas team, we're playing that game to win.
You describe coming out Saturday against Kansas City, a team obviously that wasn't struggling and know full well what you had at stake, and there was no messing around. But you guys put on the gas pedal and just took off on that game.
Yeah,
started.
Maybe kind of validated what I should have known deeper. And what I mean by that, Dom, is because everything you're talking about was certainly on my radar as a head coach, as I'm pacing behind the scenes. You've got a Kansas City team that's won 1 game. You have a conference championship on the line. Where is our focus? Where is our maturity? We had just come off 2 rivalry wins, on the road. What's our, mental, emotional state? And I think more about it, like, I don't want to take anything away from anybody on our team, because we have just, Wes and I were thinking about, the all conference and the nominations, and man, it's like, where do you start? Where do you stop? And all those things. But at the very end of the day, our guard play with Andy Damari and TC, there are competitors, there's warriors, there is hey, like, let's go. Like, we're playing basketball. This is something we love. This is something that we work hard at. And they just really set the tone. And so did I anticipate quite like that? And you're up 30 and you're shooting it that well? No. But as I think back and reflect a little bit, maybe I should have just, given our guys a little bit more of that. And that's part of where and why I want to believe Thursday night in St. Paul, we're going to be pretty teed up again to go and compete, do something that we love.
By the way, let me know on those nominees, because Seaman and I were trying to figure that out during the broadcast Saturday on All Conference. And for your team, you could do 6 guys and win 7 guys, and you have nothing wrong.
Flipping coins here.
But it's a good problem to have, and that's the thing about your team this season. It's not one guy averaging 25 and 10. You have 6, 7 guys who go out there and kill you one night, and that's how it's been all year.
Here's what we have. We have a bunch of great players. And I say that based on a post-game interview in South Dakota, the state. Did you hear that one?
I did hear that one.
Yeah, and like, I took offense to that. The reporter, I don't know his name, and I'm sure he's a great guy, but he just said, Coach, you don't have any great players. You have a bunch of good players. And I fire back, well, that's his opinion, right? Opinions are like, what? We all got them. And I got a different opinion. I got a bunch of great players, great people.
So describe here with St. Thomas next up, and knowing full well what they bring to the table, and I know you talked to me about it, last week, that, hey, they're going to give you their best shot. Describe the anticipation for this one coming up on Thursday night.
Should be a great college basketball game. We're looking forward to it. It was went down to the wire, at our place. And, it's not my job to tell you what Johnny thinks about, how that game went. I felt like we played well enough to win. I also didn't think, like, at times I thought that's when we were a wandering team using our superpowers to win games. I think we've showed some things lately at UND, at South Dakota State, where we can build leads and we can finish a little bit stronger, not let people back into it. I thought that was evident Saturday against Kansas City. We didn't have much letdown. We got a bunch of other guys through, and so like I hope we're a better version, on Thursday than we were the last time we played them. I'm sure Johnny would tell you the same thing. They got a bunch of great players themselves, and Minnesali and Janikowski can really really go.
Yeah.
And they got some guys that really Osterbond is a guy right now. He's 10 for his last 21 from 3. They got some guys filling in. Hero is coming back from some injuries, and so like the list goes on. And but all those things with St. Thomas, with Johnny's team, like that's not my concern. Yeah. It's like how are we getting better today?
How big a deal is it be down in the Twin Cities? I know you're going to have a watch party. You're going to have a get-together down there. To be down there, you recruited the heck out of that area in the past to get together and play well. Regardless, you want to win the game, but be down there and have a big presence on Thursday.
Yeah, I love it. And we're going to do some things. We've invited like 70 or so different alumni. Yeah. Just specific, inclusive to a basketball, former player, manager, coach. If they're around, to join me at our hotel on Wednesday night. And then, I cannot say enough about Derek Lang and his group, the team makers people. They're just doing an absolutely tremendous job. We just keep throwing more and more on their plate. They just keep answering it. And, I know they're hosting a pregame event, but we have to do those things. Why wouldn't we do those things?
Yeah.
There's just, the Twin Cities, being, 3.5 hours away. There's just a great alumni presence down there with the proximity and how big that metropolitan area is too. And so it's been good. You go back to football, playing at TCF and doing different things. And, it's just something that we did a little bit when we exhibition the Gophers is something we got to continue to take advantage of.
We'll take a break. We come back much more with Dave. We'll chat about obviously the St. Thomas game, look ahead to UND and how big it was for Bison basketball this past weekend. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Don't forget, Saturday, doubleheader up at the Shields Center, North Dakota State, North Dakota. Hit the air at 1 o'clock for the women's game. The men's game to follow. Should be a great day of hoops. The final day of the Summit League regular season on Saturday, our final broadcast of the year. Looking forward to that for the Bison and UND. Back with NDSU men's basketball head coach Dave Richman. I know how intertwined you and Jory Collins have been. Just, you've been around Bison basketball forever. How big a day was Saturday that both teams clinched shares or won the league outright on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, just as you talk about it, like I got goosebumps, and you're talking about the next Saturday too, kind of just a really cool culminating thing, right, of us being, on that stage together and in a rivalry game and some seniors that obviously mean a bunch to both programs. But, it's really weird. We are doing unbelievable things right now as a men's basketball program. Like you just said, like there's, nets and historic, and I don't feel like we're even coming close to what the women are doing, and I mean that like they haven't lost or receiving votes nationally. Yeah. And I do think about, like, we've had, I'm very proud, and I've said this on some different platforms, like we've embraced a lot of things, Dom, as a men's basketball program with portal and NIL and just the trend, the COVID and the changing landscape too. But, just when Jory took things over and I'll just say it, kindly, things weren't in a great place at the women's side of it. And so he's picking those things up. And I always felt, and I told him this too, is I'm real with him, like, hey, you'll climb pretty quick, but that last step to get over that last hump is going to be your biggest step. And to see them get over that step, this year and win at South Dakota State, to win at South Dakota to clinch, and Avery and all those things, like really happy for those girls, but like I get it too. I'm extremely happy for Jory Collins, and Jory Collins won't tell you that because he's, a lot like me. We like to, deflect, and it's a lot about other people, but like I will, like the man works at it. He's a work hard, play hard guy. He's a guy that you can get behind, and he's got that, he's coaching girls, he's coaching women, and he's got that balance of it's all love, but what kind of tough love and what kind of this, and he's done an absolutely tremendous job with a program that's got a lot of history and tradition in women's basketball, and I think there is a fan base that's kind of been waiting for this too.
An email comes in. This will get you all fired up. Is NDSU a basketball school now? You can ask Polisic about that.
That's for you guys. No, this is a football school. I will say that loud and clear. There is nobody that wants football to be successful more than Dave Richman and Jory Collins, and that's why we're excited about the FBS and the Mountain West move and that shot in the arm, the juice, and let's pack that dome and get some energy going. And with that, like selfishly, finances come rolling and high tides rise all ships. And that's the other thing that we're really, really fortunate. I talk to other colleagues like, he yells and screams at me quite a bit when we're together, but I consider, Polisic a great friend. And you just go down the list, Mike Regan, Jen Lopez, Darren Mueller, Keller's the golf. Like, it's just Tyler Oakes was like, Obi goes down and wins in Brookings too. Like, we just got some wonderful leaders and some wonderful people and people that I look up to, but people I call friends.
I want to ask, in the offseason, when you're constructing this roster, and obviously you want to build it we want to be a Summit League champion, but in your heart of hearts, like, when did you get a sense like, okay, I think we have a team that might be pretty good? When was it when you were building in the summer, when your workouts? When did you get a sense that I think we're pretty good?
Mike Wood, right? The ultimate Bison fan, the big stats guy. Yeah. Well, I was with some of our staff, and Mike was back there on Saturday, and he was just so impressed. Like, I mean, we were picked fourth, and we overcame these things, and we got this brand new roster. And I'm like, hey, Mike, get used to this, because this is where we're going to be, next year. And preseason rankings get some excitement. I've never been a fan. I'm probably even less of a fan now and all those things. But I think we all need to be well aware that this is in the Summit League mid-major level. This is, a rinse and repeat type thing. And I will stand convicted and very proud as a leader of this based on the people that we go out and bring in. Because of the times and sacrifices away from our families, that we're going to be around good people. And so we felt very convicted that we had some really good people. Now you're learning some things too along the way. You saw some things in the summer that kind of, transitioned a little bit into the fall. And I think there's a couple early moments when we felt like Travion Carson could really go. We knew, what Damari had, as the competitor that he is. And I think those two in a lot of ways set the tone for winning and competing and breathed a lot of confidence, into us. Have there been some surprises? Absolutely. Trayson Anderson has been absolutely magnificent, a guy that, at times I didn't know if he'd be in the rotation, to a guy that you could easily – I think he's our leading scorer in conference play right now. You talk about all conference nominations. So, I'd love to tell you, this is exactly how I saw it going, and those are our expectations. But it takes a group of guys, buying in and competing and trusting the process, and fortunately that these guys have.
Well, you brought this up to me when we were in Sioux Falls for Summit League Media Day, and it's for the guys that stayed. I look at the two guys you brought to Sioux Falls, Damari Wheeler-Thomas and Noah Federson, and Trayson Anderson, another one, that the guys that stayed anchored this thing to make this possible, in my opinion. And Damari and Federson in conference play, where would you be without him? You're not winning many games.
100%. Yeah. And I would add on to that too, Carson Smith and Andy Stefanowicz.
Yes.
There was, where I think their roommates, Carson, Andy, and Trayson, and by all accounts, when I heard a lot from the new guys at different ages, they just grabbed everybody, and whether it was their apartment or these activities, and when we bring it in, it's 1, 2, 3 family. And I think there's also little things that Coach Richman does that aren't fun. And why do we have to touch this line, or why do we have to finish through here, or all these things? And these guys can then go into the locker room and explain it, or hold these guys accountable to it. And Like any good program is player led, and those 5 guys and Damari and Noah being here for 4 years, really helps stabilize some things and helps us transition a bunch of new guys.
All right, it's February 24th. Is this now? We're on the doorstep of March for you. We're through the dog days now. The conference tournaments are almost here. Just what is the juice like for you, knowing? All right, we're taking a team number 1 seed down to Sioux Falls here next week.
Yeah, I mean it's high. I can't lie. I don't sleep quite as well, as I normally do, and I think like I don't have a job, Dom. I get to do something that I love every single day, and because of our convicted process, I get to do that with a bunch of guys and a few ladies that I don't like either. I love them, and that makes it a lot of fun. That makes it exciting, but also too, you're working for something, and there's a purpose and a passion behind it, and we're getting closer and closer to that. But at the same sense, let's just make sure this thing is kept 100. As the kids say, like the only chance that we have to do what we want to do, the rest of this week and next week and hopefully beyond is to stay present and keep getting better. And we can't make this too big. We can't make it too small. Like, how do we continue to get better? And at the end of the day, that is the boring reality of success. It's embracing it, enjoying it, moving on from failures, and being able to hit the next pitch. And that's where we need to continue to be at.
Congratulations, bud, on a conference championship. Good luck Thursday. We'll see you Saturday at the Shack.
Appreciate you, my friend. Go Bison.
There he goes. David Richman joins us each and every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Bison are at St. Thomas. Note the start time, by the way. Thursday night's at 8 o'clock start. Don't ask me why, but they're playing at 8 o'clock Thursday night. And then, of course, we mentioned the back end of the doubleheader with UND. You'll see it Saturday here on WDAY Extra. We'll break. We come back. We'll chat some Class B hoops. We're getting to that time of the year. One of the teams that thinks they got a great shot to win it, the Ray Jays. Head coach Michael Bergstrom's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mic rolls on this Tuesday morning. Don't forget, tomorrow, CBS Sports college football reporter Brandon Marcello will join us. Wrote a full thing on NDSU, get his take on the Mountain West. That's coming up tomorrow on the show. Looking forward to that at 10. Bison Media Zone also going tomorrow at 10:35. Well, as we've turned the calendar here almost to March, we've got region games going on in girls basketball right now. The field is down to 32. The postseason begins for Class A and B boys in the not-too-distant future. One of those teams that figures that they got a chance to maybe make it to Minot in the Class B boys, the Ray Jays. Head coach Michael Bergstrom joins us here this morning to chat about his team, which comes in ranked number 3 in Class B. Coach, thanks for doing this morning. I know a lot of people know about a couple of your highlight guys. Tell me about this team and how the season has gone. We lost one game all year.
Well, we had a good year. We finished the regular season 18-1. Some of our early goals that we wanted to accomplish, and one was winning the district regular season. We did. We were able to win the Mandan Holiday Tournament. We had that one loss to Central McLean, who's ranked number 1.
Yeah.
And so, as far as the regular season goes, it probably went about as well as we could have hoped it could go.
To have expectations as well, knowing full well football had a decent year as well. Did you get a sense early on, hey, we've got a team that could be one of the best in the state, or was this something that developed as the year went along?
This group we've known is pretty good for a long time. They're not a secret really anywhere in the state. Throughout the years. So 2 years ago, it was basically this same team. We were super young, but we knew we had something there. Last year, we won the district tournament last year, and got bounced right away in regionals, and we had a really great summer. So we came in with pretty high expectations for ourselves. We knew a lot of things had to happen for that to happen, but I don't think it's a surprise that we're here, I guess.
To see now here that you've went through the quote-unquote the dog days of the year, now it's the fun time. Describe what the excitement levels around school, around town, knowing that a chance at a state berth is there here in the next couple weeks.
Well, Ray's been a state one time in our existence.
Yeah.
It was in 1990. So it's been a long time since we've had a team like this in Ray. Our community's excited, our kids are excited, our school's excited. Like the Minor Ryan game on Friday night. I guess I didn't count every individual in there, but I think it'd be pretty tough to say that we didn't have as many or more fans there than the home team did. So, we travel well, and that hasn't been just that game. It's been pretty much every road game. We bring a lot of people, and people are excited, so that's fun.
To have, obviously, your son is on the team. Describe that of walking the tightrope with dad and coach this season.
Well, I've coached this group of kids for a lot of years. We've been together for a lot of games. We do a really good job of separating dad and coach. When we're on the basketball floor, I'm Coach Bergstrom, and then when I'm at home, I'm dad, and we try not to let those two things intermingle too much. But really with the whole group, having a son on the team, but then also his best friends are on the team, and so I've known a lot of these guys for a really long time, maybe on a little bit different level than in other years. So it's really special on one hand, but it also presents some challenges on other hands. But we've probably been together for hundreds, if not thousands, of basketball games. So we're pretty used to it now.
I got to ask, I'm always fascinated, especially past like Bismarck or mine, like travel-wise. Describe like a normal night for you guys and just playing a district game. What's travel like for you guys?
Well, it's really no different than anywhere else in the state. I mean, our location inside of our district, we're kind of in the center of it. And we don't have a lot of home games. I mean, our schedule's built to try to challenge us as much as we can. So we didn't have a lot of home games. We travel quite a bit, but I mean, like our farthest game this year that outside of the Mandan Holiday Tournament, we went to Garrison on a Tuesday, which is a little over 2 hours away, but the rest of them are pretty close. But travel doesn't bother us. I mean, a lot of our kids have played a lot of pretty big time AAU.
Yeah.
So Minneapolis is our close trip. So us going somewhere to have to spend the night to play basketball isn't strange to most of our team.
You mentioned earlier about it's been a long time since making the Class B. To have, I don't know, maybe the target, maybe that's too strong a word, but knowing everyone is gunning for you guys and with district starting, how do you handle that? Is that something you have to address with the guys, or is that it goes with the territory of kind of the season you've had?
Well, I mean, I think it goes with the territory. I mean, whether it's us or anyone else that's getting these type of rankings, and this team hasn't been short on hype, over the last few years. So like we're out there, and I think 2 years ago we were maybe the darlings. We were the cute little team with a bunch of little kids out there, and we're probably not quite as loved, statewide as we maybe were then, but. We have a lot of guys that have had a lot of success in things that they've done in their lives. So, that's kind of just part of how it is. But we just really focus on what we can control. And we talk about daily keeping the outside noise away. When everything's important, nothing's important. So we try to really focus in on the things that are important and keeping us focused that way. We've earned the right to be here to this point, and we're trying to earn the right to get farther. And anytime you're in these positions, the challenges that we have are no different than our Redeemers has, or Hankinson has, or Minor Ryan has, or anyone else. So.
We had Ty Barman on the show in December, I think, shortly after that the University of Minnesota offered him in football. He's a standout basketball player. Describe what this attention has been like. North Dakota State has offered now in football. He's a freshman. Michael, what has this done over the last few months? Because there's a heck of a lot more eyeballs now on Ray, North Dakota than there were 6 months ago.
Well, I mean, I think first it's a testament to Ty. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's arguably one of the top athletes in North Dakota at any age.
Yeah.
But he's an extremely humble kid. Extremely hard worker. I know Ty talked about it when he was on your show. He's surrounded with a lot of good people. He's got some really, really good teammates. He's got a really good support system. So I think that's probably the first and foremost is Ty's earned that, and the people around him have helped him with that. But it's exciting. It's different. I mean, I've been in this business for 20 years, and I haven't had to go open the door for the recruiting coordinator from University of Minnesota or the head football coach from North Dakota State or any of that stuff. But it's exciting. It's different. Again, I think Ty's earned the right to have that. So,
what has it been like at school when these guys are walking around? I'm fascinated by that at a Class B school. This is happening more often in North Dakota, but I'm still fascinated with what those days were like for you guys.
Not really a whole lot different. We've got some really humble kids. So if you were to walk into our school and you didn't know who any of these kids were, you won't be able to tell that they've had some of the attention that they've had. So not really. I mean, not really any different than before as far as that stuff goes. But the younger kids in the elementary, I mean, they look at this basketball team as heroes right now, which is really cool to see. So that part's fun, but I mean, that's pretty common in any school. But I mean, that part hasn't really changed. I mean, they're handling it really well.
Describe here before we get going on the level in Class B and yourself trying not to get too far ahead, knowing, man, we are this close to maybe achieving something that hasn't been done in a long, long time. How do you rein it in of like, okay, we got to worry just about districts and then we got to win a couple games of the region tournament before even thinking about that?
Well, we try to just kind of put everything into small groups. So we looked at our regular season as one thing, and we ended up 18-1 and we achieved our goal for regular season and now everyone's 0-0 again, and so our sole focus is on Tioga on Friday night, and after that game we'll move on to the next one. So we're trying to break it down into little pieces. We don't try to look too far ahead. Don't really look back either. We're just kind of trying to be where we're at and taking care of that, and I think that'll help us because it allows us to build the habits that we need. When things get tough and it's kind of nut cutting time, if we have those habits and know how to do those in little small increments, we're not really looking at all the pressures of it, and that's kind of. I mean, I thought that's what happened on Friday night as well. I mean, that was a tough environment against a really good team. That's the winningest Class B team in North Dakota history and the defending state champions. And we walked into halftime up 3 points, and it was about the 8th time this year we've been up by single digits at halftime and ended up winning by over 20. So, that was just kind of a moment of which we preach. We've been there a lot of times. We know, we didn't let the moment get too big for us. So we're just kind of, I mean, it's very much cliche, but we're taking it one game at a time, one day at a time, and just really focusing on what's in front of us at that moment.
You mentioned to me before we let you go here about the amount of attention and the great fan base is following you. What's it going to be like at Newtown for this, where the district tournament is at, starting this at the end of the week?
Traditionally Newtown hasn't drawn a lot of fans, and when we haven't attended very well there, and I suppose there's a few different factors, but I would guess that Ray's gonna bring a lot of people. So I think it's gonna be a fun environment. It's a cool setting. It's a cool venue. People are excited for it, and people like watching kids that really get after it. These guys are super competitive, and they're not short on confidence. Some people maybe call that cocky. I just think we're super confident in what we've done. And I always say it, I'm sure people are tired of hearing about it, but like, these guys have earned the right to be here. I'm not saying they put in more time than anyone else, but I would have a hard time believing anyone does. And we got some kids that have really excelled in basketball, and it's fun.
It's great to see you, bud. Thanks so much for doing this. Good luck, and hopefully we're talking next month, okay?
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Michael Bergstrom, head coach of the Ray Jays boys basketball team, ranked number 3 in Class B, 18-1 on the season as they get set for their district tournament out in Newtown later this week. One of the teams, again, we're talking about droughts in Class B. Ray's been there one time, and with a couple of really special athletes. Barman's one we've had on. Ty's wrapping up his freshman year with already a couple of offers from the University of Minnesota and North Dakota State to play football in his back pocket. They'll be one to watch for sure as we start cutting the field down to see who's going to be part of the final 8 that makes it a Minot about a month from now at the Minot State Dome. We'll take our final break. We come back. We'll wrap things up and get you ready for, we got a busy Sports Tuesday on tap. Hot Mike will do that right after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inform.com right after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Tuesday morning. Tomorrow, I had a chance to visit with Fargo Davies standout, current Illinois State freshman guard Mason Clabo on it has to be one of the top basketball stories of the year, college basketball stories of the year. It has to be. And if you don't know it yet, we will make it known tomorrow. That'll be 9:35 on our program tomorrow. Looking forward to that conversation because it is bizarre, crazy, little bit everything. It's a good catch up with Mason, and we'll feature that tomorrow on the show. So looking forward to that. And a star-studded guest lineup here the rest of the week. Carlton Lance will join us Thursday. Jory Collins as well. We'll have our hockey fix coming up later in the week and get you all set for our doubleheader at the Shack as well on Saturday with NDSU and UND. Don't forget also tomorrow night, the Bison women play South Dakota State. It is a Wednesday night game. They had that moved up with a quote-unquote rivalry feature to this. Instead of playing Thursday, Saturday, they're going to play Wednesday, Saturday. So the game is tomorrow, and also it's on WDAY tomorrow. The Bison South Dakota State women's game will be on the Big Bird. Will be on WDAY, so make sure you look for us there on Channel 6 tomorrow night. And obviously a big night. If the Bison are able to beat South Dakota State, first, they'll have swept them for the first time in the Division I era. That's not happened before. Heck, it hasn't happened over 25 years, I want to say. And second, they'll have won the league championship outright, and they'll be celebrating as much like the men did after their victory against Kansas City. So that's obviously what's at stake. The number 1 seed, that part has already been clinched. NDSU will be the 1. As we wrote about yesterday, you can check it out at Inform.com. We were going through the Bison postseason possibilities here. NDSU and both the men and the women will play on the same day, on Thursday, March 5th. And it'll be basically back-to-back, 2:30 for the women and then 6 o'clock for the men that night as being the number 1 seeds. So you've got a full now 10 days in advance warning to somehow plan out your time down there. The latest bracketology from ESPN is out today as well, something we've been following for, I'd say, the better part of a month and a half now. It's been fun to do. The men, according to Joe Lunardi, would be a 13 seed and play Alabama. There's a little history between those two programs, no? Obviously, with Grant Nelson spending his last 2 years at Alabama. And again, it would be in the Pacific Northwest. They have the Bison playing Alabama in Portland, Oregon in the opening round of the NCAA basketball tournament. Meanwhile, the women, their bracketology has North Dakota State as a 10 seed playing North Carolina State as a 7 in Iowa City. Obviously, with Iowa being the host. Now, that would be interesting to see if people would travel for that. I can tell you right now, Iowa City is an 8-hour drive. I did it the year that the Bison played University of Iowa in football. That's not totally undoable for people to get there. So that's the latest from ESPN on where they have the Bison projected to play and whom they would be projected to play in the NCAA tournament. They still got to get there, which we'll find out beginning a week from Thursday in Sioux Falls. And Hot Mike will be there a week from Friday, March 6th. Our show will be live at the Premier Center in Sioux Falls. Looking forward to that. Let's do some What to Watch before we get out of here. What to watch brought to us by our great friends at Northwestern Mutual. Again, Wolves are back in action tonight after that bad loss to the Sixers at the Blazers tonight, 9 o'clock. That's on Peacock to check out the Wolves game against Portland. The Minnesota Golden Gopher men's basketball team, Nico Medved's team, just grinding it out right now and trying to get some wins with a biggie at Michigan. That's at 7:30 on the Big Ten Network for that one tonight. And again, I think every day that we still have snow on the ground and it's 20 degrees out, I'm going to put on a spring training game just to get our attitudes in a better frame of mind. Yankees and the Blue Jays today on MLB Network. You don't need the app, just on MLB Network today at noon. The Twins have a split squad 2 games today, but neither one of those games end up being on television. So you're unfortunately out of luck on that. But if you want to just take in some baseball like I did, you can check out that today. So that's your spring training Grapefruit League action coming up later today. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Mike McFeely, to Dave Richman, and to Michael Bergstrom. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Thanks so much for making us part of your Tuesday, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Back here tomorrow.